Ramesh Pankha.
Hello everyone, the image that you just saw is a viral image of KP Gosavi. He is Kiran Gosavi, Kiran Prakash Gosavi to be specific, and he is a private citizen. The details of his bodyguard's affidavit talks about he being a businessman. Now Gosavi was present when the raids were happening on the cruise on 2nd of October. He was also the one who was seen dragging Shah Rukh Khan's son, Aryan Khan, to the NCB office. Earlier today, I spoke to Gosavi. We can see Vikram Singh, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, talk about this case. I want to understand, if you look at the various threads, various characters in this cast that is unfolding on Aryan Khan drug investigation, who exactly is Gosavi? What is his link to Sameer Wankhede? Why is his bodyguard saying that he is an extortionist? All that and much more I'm going to discuss with Vikram Singh and also Harman Gomes, who's tracking that story in Mumbai for CNN News 18. But first that, let's listen into what KP Gosavi told me some time ago.
बॉडीगार्ड ने ये आरोप लगाया है कि आप एक्सटॉर्शन में इन्वॉल्व हैं और आप एनसीबी की सहायता कर रहे थे। आपका क्या रोल है इस
मैडम? ये सारा प्री प्लान बना के इन्होंने ये 5-6 दिन में ये पूरा प्रोग्राम किया है। हालांकि मुझे ऐसा अभी समझा है मॉर्निंग में ही कि मेरे घर में चोरी भी हुई है वाशी से, ठीक है, जिसकी चाबी मैंने दी थी इन्हीं के पास में, बॉडीगार्ड के पास ही थी, और कुछ डॉक्यूमेंटेशन भी इन्होंने मेरे शेयर किए हैं घर से चोरी करके।
क्या पूजा डडलानी जो शाहरुख खान की मैनेजर हैं उनसे मिले हैं?
मैं किसी से नहीं मिला हूँ मैडम, मैं किसी से भी नहीं मिला हूँ। उस रात को मैं जो नीचे गया था, मेरे को किसी का फोन आया था स्कैम करके, उसने मुझे मिलने के लिए बुलाया था, बाकी मैं किसी से मिला नहीं हूँ।
ट्राइडेंट होटल आप गए हैं, वहाँ पर कुछ लेन देन की बात हुई है, पैसा
मैडम आप सीसीटीवी चेक, सुनो ना, सीसीटीवी चेक कीजिए, मोबाइल नेटवर्क चेक कीजिए, लोकेशन चेक कीजिए।
लेकिन आप ये बताइए, जब आर्यन खान का इंटरोगेशन हो रहा था एनसीबी ऑफिस में, आप वहाँ पे क्या कर रहे थे? आपने उनके साथ अपनी एक सेल्फी भी ली है।
मैडम हाँ, लेकिन वो टाइम पे वो क्रूज टर्मिनल पे थे हम लोग, एनसीबी के ऑफिस में नहीं थे, क्रूज टर्मिनल पे थे, जो सेल्फी निकली है।
आप एक प्राइवेट इंडिविजुअल होकर के क्रूज टर्मिनल पे क्या कर रहे थे?
मैडम मेरे को बुलाया गया था कि विटनेस के तौर पे, क्योंकि जो पंचनामा हुआ है वो क्रूज पे हुआ है, इसपे हमने साइन किए हैं, वो क्रूज पे पंचनामा हुआ है।
आपको किसने बुलाया था? क्योंकि आपके बॉडीगार्ड का आरोप है कि आप उसमें पूरे में इन्वॉल्व हैं, आप एक एक्सटॉर्शन रैकेट का पार्ट है।
मैडम देखिए, सुनो मेरी बात सुनिए। आपने क्वेश्चन किया, मैं उसका जवाब दे रहा हूँ। ये सारी गलत बातें हैं। ये पूरा पिक्चर ये 5-6 दिनों में बना है, क्योंकि मेरे बॉडीगार्ड के साथ में लास्ट बात हुई थी 12 तारीख को, और फिर मेरे फियांसे के साथ में उसकी बात हुई है 2 दिन पहले, जब भी उसने बोला है कि वो सरेंडर करना चाहते हैं, तो एडवोकेट से आप बात कर लो। मैं मेरे फोन बंद रखा हूँ 6 तारीख से मैडम, क्योंकि मुझे काफी एक्सटॉर्शन के कॉल्स आ रहे थे, ठीक है। बाकी चीजें मैं ओपन अभी सामने आ ही रहा हूँ, तो मैं सारी चीजें ओपन कर दूंगा वहाँ पे।
नहीं, मुझे जानना है, नहीं मुझे बस एक सवाल और, कि आपका एनसीबी के साथ क्या रिश्ता है?
कोई रिलेशन नहीं है मैडम, मैं एज अ देश की सेवा करने को गया, कोई लिंक आई हमारे पास में मनीष भानुशाली के पास में, और उसने मुझे बताया और हम लोग वहाँ पे गए। वहाँ पे कौन कार्रवाई कर सकता है, तो नजदीक का ऑफिस ये भी था, 500 मीटर पे ही ऑफिस था, तो वहाँ पे हम लोग जाके ये इन्फॉर्मेशन लिए। उसके बाद में सारी तहकीकात चालू हो गई, उसके बाद में फिर क्रूज पे रेड हुआ।
नहीं, तो आपके पास ये इन्फॉर्मेशन कैसे आई? क्या आपका कोई इस पूरे एपिसोड में आपका क्या रोल है?
कोई रोल नहीं है मैडम। इन्फॉर्मेशन मनीष भानुशाली को आई, एक अच्छे दोस्त है, इसकी वजह से उन्होंने मुझे बताई। और यही नहीं मैडम, पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट को भी काफी सहायता हमने की है, ठीक है। आज जो गौ माता वगैरह होता है, ट्रकें चलती है, मुंबई में आती है, महाराष्ट्र में आती है, उस केसेस में भी मैं फिरियादी हूँ काफी जगह पे।
लेकिन ये बताइए गोसावी जी, आप पुलिस से भागे क्यों फिर रहे हैं? अगर
मैडम मुझे कॉल कैसे आए हैं, ठीक है, ये बात का भी मैं जवाब दे रहा हूँ। मुझे 3 तारीख से ऐसे कॉल्स आए हैं कि पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट के फिर बात जमा होंगे तो अंदर ऐसा टॉर्चर होगा कि हम जो बोलेंगे वो तुमको बोलना पड़ेगा। तो ये कहाँ का सिस्टम हुआ मैडम? और ये पूरा पॉलिटिक्स चल रहा है अभी, इसमें सच्चाई माने किसकी और मैं जाऊँ किसके पास में? मेरी जो बातें हैं, आज जो केस है मेरे पे, जो पूना का केस निकला है, वो केस में आज ही इन्होंने लुकआउट नोटिस क्यों निकाला?
तो एनसीबी का रोल क्या है आपके साथ?
मेरा एनसीबी का रोल क्या है मैडम? एनसीबी का कोई रोल नहीं है। हमने उनको इन्फॉर्मेशन दी एज ए पंच, वो हमको वहां पे बुलाए, हमने पंचनामा पे साइन किया, जो देखा उस पे जो लिखा गया था उस पे साइन किया। दैट्स इट।
मैं फिर से पूछूंगी, ट्राइडेंट होटल में क्या लेन देन की बात हुई है? और पूजा जडलानी जो शाहरुख खान की मैनेजर है, उनसे आप क्यों मिले थे? क्या
मैडम फिर से मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, कोई बात नहीं हुई है। और ये जो भी है इंफॉर्मेशन पुलिस अपनी साइड से जांच करे और अपने साइड से निकाले, किसका कॉल रिकॉर्ड है, किसका क्या है, किसका क्या नहीं है।
आप सरेंडर क्यों नहीं कर लेते हैं अगर आपके खिलाफ?
मैडम मैं सरेंडर होने के लिए जा रहा हूँ क्योंकि ये सर के ऊपर पानी हो गया है मेरे। मैं बाहर मरने से अच्छा मैं अंदर मरूँ, ये बदनामी सहन करने से अच्छा मैं सच्चाई बोल के भले ही देश सेवा में मेरे को जो भी सजा देनी है वो दे दीजिए।
आप कहाँ सरेंडर करने
So
जा रहे हैं?
is KP Gosavi an extortionist? Is it, now it's his words or his version versus his bodyguard's version, who has actually filed a notarized affidavit. Vikram Singh, what exactly is happening in this story?
Maria, it's very, very surprising that a person who has political antecedents is being used as a
Vikram
witness.
Singh, if you can hear me.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Maria, can you hear me?
Harman,
Maria,
if you
can you hear me? Maria?
Yes, I can.
Can you hear me, Maria?
Harman, your audio is muted.
Maria, I can hear you.
Okay, there seems to be some problem with that line. Vikram Singh, if you can hear me.
I can hear you, Maria. Can you hear me?
बॉडीगार्ड ने
Maria, can you hear me?
ये आरोप लगाया है कि आप एक्सटॉर्शन में इन्वॉल्व हैं और आप एनसीबी की सहायता कर रहे थे। आपका क्या रोल है इस पूरे?
ये सारा प्री प्लान बना के इन्होंने ये 5-6 दिन में ये पूरा प्रोग्राम किया है। हालांकि मुझे ऐसा
Vikram Singh, if you can hear me, sir. Sir, if you can hear me.
I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me, Maria?
Okay, sir, please go ahead. I want to understand when we look at various players in this puzzle now, KP Gosavi, it's his version versus his bodyguard's version. Is he an extortionist? And if he is an
Maria,
extortionist, then what do you think is his role here?
Maria, there are 2 or 3 things that need to be explained. Firstly, in such a sensitive case, you do not have people with political backgrounds and lineages to be independent witnesses. Point number 1. Number 2, the integrity of the investigation has to be maintained. And in this case, you have a person who's taking selfies with the person who's accused and seems to be holding in close proximity during the course of investigation. It is extremely unusual, inappropriate, and improper. This was best avoided. Then the allegation from the bodyguard of KP is a very, very serious matter. There is a provision that is known as 164 statements, recording of statements before a magistrate, widen the provisions of 164 CRPC before a magistrate, so that it is not before the police officer, not before the NCB officer. The magistrate will say that yes, a particular person, KP or Herman, has given his statement before me, and that is independent without any compulsion or arm twisting. That has not been done. These 3 appear to be very horrible fault lines. I have a political linkage. Number 2, I have close proximity to the accused. I'm taking selfies. I'm moving about absolutely without check or pilot in a sensitive area. And then somebody very close to me is leveling allegations of extortion. I have not been able to safeguard the integrity of the investigation. I have not been able to cover myself with glory. Investigation must not only be done in a transparent manner, but it should be seen to be transparent, fair, and unimpeachable. Like Caesar's wife, they must all be beyond reproach and beyond criticism. This has not been the case, and this is the whole tragedy. In such sensitive cases, and any such case, you should have taken pains to ensure that you cover yourself legally and morally, which has not happened in this case, Maria.
Herman, when we look at various, when for him to say what he said, for Gosavi to say that he is not really someone who has been in touch with Pooja Dadlani, who is the manager of Shah Rukh Khan. He's denied all the charges, all the allegations, but his own bodyguard, who says that he has been present all the meetings, to give specifics of time and date. How is it being seen by the NCB? Do you think the position of Samir Wankhede is increasingly becoming untenable?
Absolutely untenable. As bodyguard, firstly, why on earth will I, as a private citizen, I have been the ex-DGP of the state, I don't have any security, either personal or official, because I have no enemies. I have not done anything that is immoral or illegal. But for a person to have a bodyguard, well, I know what you must have done something wonderful to have to require a personal bodyguard. And the bodyguard is somebody who's like a shadow. He is privy to everything that you are doing. And if the bodyguard is showing, unless the bodyguard has been won over, presuming for a moment, by Dadlani, by Shah Rukh Khan or anybody else, which is highly unlikely because they're all underground, how can they win over a person like that? Then the fact that this is a very serious allegation, and I do hope that the NCB top brass is watching this and they have to do something to ensure that whatever vestiges of integrity and credibility that is left of the investigation is revived, because under these circumstances, what the bodyguard is saying will have a damning influence, and the very little probability of conviction is left now in the case, in the
Yes,
background of what the bodyguard is saying.
yes. Herman, come in on this. The video of Prabhakar Sail goes viral. He himself is recording it, and then it is released in the public domain. And then he files a notarized affidavit giving all the details that he has given. Is there some political links here as is being talked about?
Well, Maria, yes. Even in fact, as far as sources within the NCB are concerned, they have been looking only at the criminal angle of it. But yes, there have been multiple allegations coming against him being linked to a political party. But if one speaks about KP Gosavi, for example, there is a cheating case that was filed, an FIR that was registered against him. In Pune, he has been accused of taking being promising a gentleman by the name of Chintan Deshmukh a job at a hotel in Malaysia, for which he paid in installments various amounts, almost a little about 3 lakhs. He was not the Pune police was definitely trying to track him for a long period of time. They could not find him. And it is a case relating to section 420, which is clearly a case of cheating and dishonesty. And as such, what is the credibility of Mr. Gosavi? That is something that that even Mr. Nawab Malik, for example, is trying to ask. The Pune police, for example, was trying to track him for a long period of time. It is only when the viral picture of KP Gosavi with Aryan Khan went viral did it come to the notice of the Pune police, and they realized here is the man that they were trying to look out for the long period of time. Post that, ever since the media started looking into this particular case, he was not to be, the exact whereabouts of KP Gosavi were not known. Today, in fact, in the interview to you, he said that he would be surrendering himself. The Mumbai police here on its part has been saying that the right place for Mr. KP Gosavi to in fact surrender himself would be at the Pune police station, because that is where a case has been registered
Yes, and,
and not here.
and KP Kusavi, when I asked that specific question, when are you surrendering? Where are you surrendering? He said, you'll know about it very soon. Vikram Singh, here is Samir Wankhede, who has a reputation. But I'm talking specifically about the entire track record of the NCB, which is now under this entire shroud of doubt, particularly in various cases. Look at it. Riya Chakravarti is demonized. She's put behind bars in this, again, chat supposed to be making her this cartel leader. It's 1 year on, there has been no charge sheet. Deepika Padukone, Sara Ali Khan, Shraddha Kapoor are questioned in full public view, making it like a camera driven event, a spectacle. 1 year on, we do not know what is there in investigation. Aryan Khan, 23 days and counting, no possession, no consumption, only chats. Isn't it true that then that Samir Wankhede and the NCB have much to explain?
Naturally, Maria, show me the man and I'll show you the rules does not exist in the rule book at all. I'll give you the case of Bharti Singh and her husband Harsh, who were released in 2 days. Although a very small amount of ganja was recovered from them. In case of Riya and her brother, they got bail after 3 months. And in the case of Aryan, still no relief in sight. I do hope that there are not separate rules for different people, because if you are pursuing a case vigorously, it has to be pursued on the basis of merits. And if recovery is the consideration, where there was no recovery, the bail came after 3 months. Where there was a minor recovery, the bail came after 2 days. In case of Aryan, almost the same amount of recovery and WhatsApp chat, no bail till date. I would like to see that everything should be transparent. Everything should be predictable. Everything should be within the parameter and ambit of law, not whimsical, not knee-jerk, and certainly not on the basis of the person, show me the man and I will show you the rules. No, it should never be the case in a democracy like ours.
And Harman, the point being made by Vikram Singh, and we should not be missing that the affidavit has been filed by someone who's a bodyguard, almost like a shadow. For a bodyguard to file such an affidavit, why shouldn't I believe bodyguard? And why should I believe Mr. Gosavi, who's anyways being questioned, and the Pune police is out there, hunting for him. And here is Mr. Gosavi clicking a selfie with Shah Rukh Khan's son, and then he's also making Aryan Khan talk to someone. Aren't these pictures or various pieces in this puzzle showing in one direction, that Mr. Gosavi has much to explain now, and he's clearly running away from the cops?
Yeah. Well, Maria, yes. In fact, if one looks at it, he says that he's the witness into the case, but somehow he's been the one who has gone underground. One really doesn't know the whereabouts. It's only after a lookout, circular was issued by the Pune police that now things have started moving. He said earlier in an interview to you that he would be surrendering himself. It's almost 6:30 now this evening. It is not yet known whether he has surrendered or not. Besides that, now, as far as Prabhakar Sail is concerned, it's a notarized, affidavit which he has put out, very minute and fine details. In fact, so much so I can tell you that today, in fact, his statement has also been recorded. So today you had Mr. Samir Wankhede from the NCB, as well as the NCB on its part filing 2 separate counter affidavits, asking the court not to take Prabhakar Sail affidavit into consideration. What the court simply in its order said, that it would not go into the merits of it because it is sub judice and it is an investigation, and it is for the Bombay High Court to look into it because that would be the correct jurisdiction. So in some way, it is definitely seen as a minor setback, not just to the agency but also to Mr. Samir Wankhede.
It's not often that I see Vikram Singh smile on a broadcast, and for him to smile on a broadcast means that he's reading something into some event that we have not been able to. Please go ahead, Mr. Singh, wrap this discussion.
Mares, things are getting to be much, much murkier by the minute. And nobody is trying to touch the affidavit with a barge pole. That is even more surprising. Number 3, why should anybody say that do not take into account this affidavit? If you want to be to the truth, you should say, examine word by word, line by line, every word, and we stand by the truth. The moment you say do not turn the switch or do not, it is like saying do not switch on the lights in the room. We would rather be in the dark. That is what exactly it means when you say do not take into account and incorporate the affidavit in the court proceedings, means do not switch on the lights. As simple as that. How can a person bungle up like this? I fail to understand.
So are you of the opinion then in this, what should Mr. Gosavi do? And are you seeing some kind of link between KP Gosavi and Samir Wankhede?
Link would be an understatement. I feel that he seems to be, I may be using very strong words, but his body language and conduct has been that of a paid informer. And a paid informer behaves like this, and it's better for him, my advice, if he's listening, to surrender before the court, make clean and come out clean with whatever has happened, because that is his only escape route. Otherwise, I feel that the truth is likely to come out, and then it will be very difficult for himself to extricate himself from the mess that he has created for himself now. Because what the bodyguard has said is on oath, and therefore his word has greater testimony, because there's relevance of specific information of Trident, specific information of deadline meeting him. It is not something vague. And therefore, whatever Gosavi may be saying is like schoolboy whistling in the dark to remove his fears and scare. And that will not cut any ice with any professional investigator. I do hope the entire matter is not taken away from all and assigned to the CBI for investigation.
And do you think, Mr. Vikram Singh, that to begin with, the NCB, which has already ordered a vigilance probe against Samir Wankhede, should remove him from this investigation so that this investigation or the alleged drug probe can move in the right direction for truth?
Maria, the fact of the matter is that it is too controversial now for Samir Wankhede to handle this investigation now on his own. There is too much of controversy that is raised. He should himself recuse himself from the investigation. If not, then the NCB should ask another team of investigators to take up the investigation.
All right, Vikram Singh and Harman Gomes, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts. Certainly, Sameer Wankhede has much to explain. And as Mr. Vikram Singh was pointing out, it is the words of KP Gosavi's drive or bodyguard, who was present in all the meetings, that holds much more weight because it is a notarized affidavit, and he has given details of various meetings that was held between Gosavi and others in this entire drama that is unfolding. Thank you so much for joining us, and let's listen in again to what KP Gosavi told me earlier today.
ने ये आरोप लगाया है कि आप एक्सटॉर्शन में इन्वॉल्व हैं और आप एनसीबी की सहायता कर रहे थे। आपका क्या रोल है इस
मैडम? ये सारा प्री प्लान बना के इन्होंने ये 5-6 दिन में ये पूरा प्रोग्राम किया है। हालांकि मुझे ऐसा अभी समझा है मॉर्निंग में ही कि मेरे घर में चोरी भी हुई है वाशी से, ठीक है, जिसकी चाबी मैंने दी थी इनके पास में, बॉडीगार्ड के पास ही थी, और कुछ डॉक्यूमेंटेशन भी इन्होंने मेरे शेयर किए हैं घर से चोरी करके।
क्या पूजा डडलानी जो शाहरुख खान की मैनेजर हैं उनसे मिले हैं?
मैं किसी से नहीं मिला हूँ मैडम, मैं किसी से भी नहीं मिला हूँ। उस रात को मैं जो नीचे गया था, मेरे को किसी का फोन आया था स्कैन करके, उसने मुझे मिलने के लिए बुलाया था, बाकी मैं किसी से मिला नहीं हूँ।
ट्राइडेंट होटल आप गए हैं, वहाँ पर कुछ लेन देन की बात हुई है, पैसा
मैडम आप सीसीटीवी चेक सुनो ना, सीसीटीवी चेक कीजिए, मोबाइल नेटवर्क चेक कीजिए, लोकेशन चेक कीजिए।
लेकिन आप ये बताइए, जब आर्यन खान का इंटरोगेशन हो रहा था एनसीबी ऑफिस में, आप वहाँ पे क्या कर रहे थे? आपने उनके साथ अपनी एक सेल्फी भी ली है।
मैडम हाँ, लेकिन वो टाइम पे वो क्रूज टर्मिनल पे थे हम लोग, एनसीबी के ऑफिस में नहीं थे, क्रूज टर्मिनल पे थे जो सेल्फी निकली है।
आप एक प्राइवेट इंडिविजुअल होकर के क्रूज टर्मिनल पे क्या कर रहे थे?
मैडम मेरे को बुलाया गया था कि विटनेस के तौर पे, क्योंकि जो पंचनामा हुआ है वो क्रूज पे हुआ है, इस पे हमने साइन किए हैं, वो क्रूज पे पंचनामा हुआ है।
आपको किसने बुलाया था? क्योंकि आपके बॉडीगार्ड का आरोप है कि आप उसमें पूरे में इन्वॉल्व हैं, आप एक एक्सटॉर्शन रैकेट का पार्ट है।
मैडम देखिए, सुनो मेरी बात सुनिए, आपने क्वेश्चन किया, मैं उसका जवाब दे रहा हूँ। ये सारी गलत बातें हैं, ये पूरा पिक्चर ये 5-6 दिनों में बना है, क्योंकि मेरे बॉडीगार्ड के साथ में लास्ट बात हुई थी 12 तारीख को, और फिर मेरे फियांसे के साथ में उसकी बात हुई है 2 दिन पहले, जब भी उसने बोला है